because that's where it's going. I make a prediction right now that in 10 years, if your children don't speak a second language fluently in this country, whether it's Mandarin Chinese, whether it's Spanish, whether it's Armenian or Russian or Korean, if they don't speak a second language or the Filipino language, which is, I believe it's called Tanaga or something like that. I get myself mixed up on that one. If you don't speak a second language, within 5 to 10 years, you will be a second-class citizen in this country. You have to be able to learn a second language. So, mama, grow your children up to be bilingual, trilingual, quadrilingual, octagon lingual. The more languages they have in their belt, the better off they will be. So I've decided that finally, after all these years, when I do speak Spanish and I get dropped into a Spanish-speaking nation, within a week or two, I'm speaking at least 6th, 7th, or 8th grade level Spanish, and not too bad. I can find out where the bathroom is and how to get to the hospital and how to pick up a cab and where the hotel is and all that stuff. And so I'm going to start speaking Spanish. So sometime towards the end of the year here, I'm going to be doing this show in Spanglish, Spanish and English together. That's what I've decided. So let's see if that happens. I've been deciding that for 25 years. That's one of those dreams and wishes at the new year that you put your list together, your hit list of stuff, and you say, I'm going to do this, right? Well, a lot of people deal with that in weight loss and nutrition and getting healthy. For me, it's language. I always put it at the top of the list, and by the end of the year, it's not even on the list. I have a hard enough time speaking English, let alone another language. I mean, my goodness gracious. This is the Jesse T Show right here Monday through Friday from 5 to 6. Good to have you along with me, Jesse T. The Brown Beauty is back on duty. Yeah, baby, that's right. In a beautiful Southern California Wednesday, halfway through the week. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous Wednesday in the Pacific Ocean is glistening in all its beauty with the dolphins swimming out there at the end of the breakers. How gorgeous can it be other than living in Southern California with you and me? I mean, come on. We need to increase our population in the state of California from approximately 40 million. I think that we should have at least 193 million people living in California. I would like to see 193 million people living in Southern California. Then we could really have fun in a traffic jam. Yeah, that would be cool, huh? I think we'd probably be out in donkeys and horses at that point. I mean, the way population is going, California is the most populous state in the union. So why not? Let's just quadruple the population here in Southern California and see what happens. Hey, why not? We're a sanctuary city, sanctuary state. Seems it's going to be, Governor Jerry El Stupido Brown is probably going to make this a sanctuary state, just like they did in Washington. So get ready for that. And then, of course, we'll lose our funding because Sessions is going to cut funding on all sanctuary cities if they don't get on board with the proper federal rules for immigration. So we got that fight coming on. I can't wait for that. I just can't wait till we lose all of our state funding here from the federal government. And we'll see how Jerry L. Stupido Brown runs and cries to the federal government. Please, please, please. I feel like a 1950 song. Please, please. That's James Brown. Please, please. He'll be singing that tune, you bet, because he did run to President Trump when he was in Florida when the Oroville Dam was about to explode and kill 300,000 people because they squandered all the money on illegal immigration and, homeless matters of great importance. Yes, of course, 85% of the people that are homeless just want to stay out there. They put together about $40,000 to $60,000 a year in goods and supplies and services that you and I have to pay for. So why not just be homeless? Hey, it's an easier life. I ain't got no stress. Ain't got no stress. That's right. So, why not? Let's just make California 200 million people in California. Yeah, that's right. Like that idea. Saying hi to Dan Tastic. I like your name, man. Very cool. Dan Tastic. There was a TV show back in the 1980s called Dan Tana. And that was a terrific actor. I'm going to get his name out of my head in a while. He passed away quite at an early age, but he had a huge career that was blowing up. He would have been a super duper film star, I'm sure. And when he kind of passed away, Tom Selleck kind of fit the mode. He fit that role. He fit that hole. And we know what happened to Mr. Tom Selleck, one of my favorite actors. I love him as a cowboy, Tom Selleck. Dantastic. Hey, I wonder if your brother's name is Fantastic. And maybe your sister's name is Landtastic. And maybe your cousin's name is Jamtastic. Detastic family. Sarcastic. That could be a good name. Sarcastic or plastic. Yeah. How many things can I rhyme to tastic? Dantastic, like your name. Thanks all for joining us as you chime in on Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero and Facebook.com/The Power of Voices. And of course, on YouTube Live, The Power of Voices. And we can't forget about our team on live stream and Periscope, Snapchat, and all around the world. We're on the air and everywhere from the community to the world. Appreciate you joining us. Pass the word along. Jesse T's in the house for you and me, having a great time at 424-227-9461. You want to give a call, chime on in. We cover every kind of material that we can right now. We'll talk about anything, and I mean anything. And I have no problems chit-chatting about this, that, and everything. Hey, had a great time last night. Went out to the Lamel Theater in NoHo. The reason why they call it NoHo is not because there's no ho. There's North Hollywood. It's north of Hollywood. NoHo. Got it? Anyhow, the Lamel Theater, number 7. And I saw a terrific, funny, scary movie done really well. How can you better The Exorcist? That's really the question. The first and original Exorcist with, of course, the devil and Satan and the priesthood and the Catholic Church and exorcisms and all that stuff. Well, this movie called Holy Terror has that in there, but they've got a great and creative twist about exorcism, and it was terrific. It was very, very scary, and one of the guys I really enjoyed watching was Mel Novak in the beginning. Some of the stars that were in that movie, they had us out there. Mel Novak, great star. He was in a lot of Bruce Lee movies, and he was in one of the very first black exploitation movies, of course, with the terrific martial artist Jim Kelly, the very best. I always liked Jim Kelly, man. I just loved his style of acting, so charismatic. And so Black Belt Jones, that's what the one that Mel Novak was, and plus 200 other titles under his name. Well, he was in this movie, very, very good, just a terrific. The other cast members were Christine DeBelle. She did a terrific job. The lead actress, one of the supporting cast, Lisa London, very nice. And the lead actress, though, I thought she was just terrific, Kelly Lynn Reitner. And Kelly Reitner, wow, so beautiful. And she's up on our Facebook page. I had a chance to interview her, facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. You can catch that. It's archives there. And you can catch all the pictures. Dan the man was out there. Dan the ladies' man. And we were scoring some great stuff. We met C. Simona. She is a terrific fashion designer for lots of movie stars. In fact, she had several dresses that were exhibited on beautiful actresses at the Academy Awards this year. And when I talked to her, I didn't know, very exotic looking. Her name was C. Simona. And, it's kind of a cool name, very exotic. Couldn't figure out where she was from. So I said, where are you from, C. Simona? She said, Dubai. And I said, okay, C. Simona, so where are you from? She said, Dubai. I said, yes, right, I do. And she said, no, my name is C. Simona. And I said, well, yeah, of course, your name is C. Simona, but where are you from? She goes, Dubai. And I said, well, yeah, I do buy. I buy lots of things. I buy this, I buy that. And she said, she looked at me and kind of cross-eyed, dim-witted for a second. And I said, so your name's C. Simona? And she said, yeah, my name's C. Simona. And she says, I'm from Dubai. I said, well, what do you buy? Yeah. Who's on first? I don't know. Who's on second? I don't know. He's on third, right? So I pulled that one on there. A lot of fun. She's a great character. A lot of charm. And we had a nice interview. Beautiful lady. And so that was fun. So we had a lot of fun at the grand premiere of Holy Terror. And Kelly Reitner, what a terrific lead in this. She just did a fantastic job. We had Vida Ghaffari. You know Vida. Vida was in here a couple of weeks ago, maybe about 2 months ago, had a great interview. Vida's just a terrific actress in Hollywood, and her star is rising fast. She was in the movie, and she did a really great job. She got herself whacked. She got herself killed. Yeah, and it was a great death scene. Vida, good job. I didn't know you could die so beautifully. Jesse Hildebrand was in it. Jesse Hildebrand, I hope I'm getting the name correct. He, too, was in it. And so when I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, I'm Jesse," he said, "I'm Jesse." I said, "You're Jesse?" He said, "Yeah, I'm Jesse." I said, "No, hi, Jesse." He said, "Hey, Jesse." I said, "So, Jesse, what's your last name?" And he said, "Jesse Hildebrand." And I said, "Well, that's a good name, Jesse." And so we were doing the Jesse thing, and then we broke down into a singing group called the Two J's, and the Jessies were entertaining the crowd of 400 people. And, of course, they gave us a very terrific applause at the end as we sang "Row, Row, Row Your Boat" the Jesse way. Yes, so it was a lot of fun. And we got that up there, too, and we had a lot of fun there. So he was a terrific actor in there. One actor, Scott Butler, I think this guy's going to go a long way. He's an English fella, and he was absolutely superb in the movie Holy Terror. The guy was just terrific, really. First-class actor all the way. Some big things. In fact, Thomas Churchill, remember with Thomas Churchill, we had him in here. He happened to stop by because he saw us on the air and everywhere on Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. You cruise around, you never know where I'm going to end up. I might just end up in your living room one day when you come home at night. And he said, "What are you doing here, Jesse Terrero?" I said, "Hey, it's me, Jesse T. You got something to eat?" "Oh, yeah. So you see the power of digital TV and global radio, man. We can get free food. Yeah, like that. Used to have pizzas show up at the studio all the time, or Tommy's Burgers, but I can't eat that stuff anymore." So Scott Butler, terrific actor. He carried lots of great scenes. I predict this guy's going to have a big career. He already has had a big career, English fella. And he and Thomas Churchill were out there talking business. So, hey, guys, give me a piece of the action, okay? Thank you very much. Holy Terror, the official trailer is up on my Facebook site, facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. I'm not a big horror film aficionado. I've never been one to really like horror films, but this particular one was a lot of fun, and knew a lot of people in it, so we were very blessed to be out there and cover it and have a great time. One of the fellas that I've been trying to meet for some time was the executive producer, because I just wanted to mess his name up terribly. His name is Gregory Hatanaka. He's a Japanese fellow, right? Hatanaka. So when he came over, I said, "Gregory, how are your Hatanakas?" He looked at me, and Vida Ghaffari was with me, and she goes, "Oh, Jesse." "Oh, yes." I said, "Well, you got some pretty nice Hatanakas too, Vida." "Hey, anybody in here ain't got some Hatanakas for sale? I got a Hatanaka 1, Hatanaka 2. Right, busting him up, man. Having a great time with Mr. Hatanaka. That was a running joke I had for him all night long. And but Gregory made 201 films. He's produced 201 films. I mean, the guy's been really prolific. So that was a lot of fun. Anyway, that's what we were out there. Met Rich Mallory. He's the writer and the director of the film as well. So good job, guys. A lot of fun. The film wanted to get campy, but every time it kind of wanted to get campy, there was a great scene that brought it back and made it really, kind of a cool film. Because some of these horror films, they get really campy really fast. But this one doesn't, and there's an art form there. So good job, guys. Great time last night at the Lamel Theater watching Holy Terror. And we're going out to the Raleigh studios on Sunday. We will be covering Remember Our Girl, our Cuban princess, you know who, Doris Margado. She's starring in her new web series. Lots of great A-listers going to be out there on the red carpet. I'm going to be there. Dan the Man's going to be there doing Dan the Ladies Man. And I'll tell you, Dan the Man, he's just like a magnet. He is the Mr. Magnet. The guy is just unbelievable. I mean, so he's going to be out there. with us, going backstage and doing all the crazy little things that Dan the Man does. We'll be out there at the Raleigh studio. We're going to be covering that, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, Holy Terror is on Amazon Prime, I believe, this weekend. You might want to check. It's going to run for a month. Amazon Prime is real cool. Lots of good, interesting shows on Amazon Prime, and that one's got their. They're going to be up there on that. So we are going to be out at the Raleigh studio, and we'll be covering that. Also, we're going to be out at the Chinese Connection. That's right. No, that's Japanese. Right. Now, get those two languages mixed up. Right? That's like Chinese, more Chinese, right? I probably just, cussed a whole bunch of Chinese people out. One time I did that. One time I walked into the Chinese consulate, and I was trying to see what I had to do to get a visa pass, because I was going to go to China from Hong Kong, then go over to China, because I was peddling some wine from up there in Paso Robles. I had a winemaker, and I was selling some wine bottles and some wine, and I was trying to make a deal there and distribute wine in China. I was going to go over there, actually, had a contact. So I went to the Chinese consulate, and so I was talking to the lady, and she was having a hard time understanding me. So I broke down and started doing Chinese. And she looked at me. I talked Chinese for like 5 minutes. And then she goes, I think I speak better English than you speak Chinese. But, hey, it broke the ice. So, anyhow, we're going out to, if you saw, Ling Tang was in here, the director of 3 terrific Chinese film festivals. Will be out there on Friday night after the Jesse T show here. We're going to travel out there and cover the Chinese Film Festival, one of them at least, locally, called the Universal Film Festival. And so we're going to be covering that, and we want you to check out. We'll be on live, too, as well. So, we're bringing lots of stuff to you here on the Jesse T show. All right, so I just want to kind of cover and let you know kind of things that we were doing. I came across something that I thought was pretty interesting the other day, and the richest people in the world. And I was thinking, how rich are the rich and the elites today? And since that's always in the news these days, the elites and who's really governing the world and all that kind of stuff, and who really pulls the strings. So I came across an article about some of the most wealthy individuals in recent history in the world. And it kind of blew me away as to how much some of these names from yesteryear really are in terms of comparing them to what the wealthiest in the world are today. So, and it just blew me away. These numbers are going to be astronomical, and there's a point that I'm trying to make here. It's unbelievable, but the top 10 richest people of all time. Who are the top 10 richest people of all time? Murdoch is not there. Bill Gates is not there. The Mexican billionaire is not there. So who are the top 10 richest people of all time? Well, one of them was Cornelius Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt, of course, you know who he is. Anderson Cooper is the great-grandson of Cornelius Vanderbilt. His mother is Gloria Vanderbilt. Okay? So there's the connection there. So Cornelius Vanderbilt was very, very wealthy. He was a railroad baron. Essentially, he created railroads across America, and he owned all of those railroad lines. Andrew Carnegie provided all the steel for his rails, and he was able to then build thousands of miles of railroad, and he controlled all of the railroads in the United States of America, with the exception of just 1 or 2 on the East Coast. Vanderbilt was unbelievably wealthy, and the number is out of this world when you really think about it. These numbers kind of make Bill Gates not even close in terms of the richest men in the world. So let's kind of go over that as I'm shooshing this little fly away from me. Yes, that's what I get to attract. I attract flies. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. So the richest people in the world. And as a computer loads up here, we'll get to that in a second. All right, let's move on to that one. Let's move on to that one. Let's move on to that one. And then Gloria Vanderbilt wasn't even the richest. Here we go. The richest people in the world. And we're going to go from 1 to 10 instead of 10 to 1. So come on, slowpoke computer. Sometimes computers, they're very quick and fast, and sometimes they're just undeniably and painfully slow. And lately, all of my computers, even my MacBook Pro, have been just slow. All right, the number one most wealthiest person, according to Forbes today, in their research in the world, and if you work all of the inflation numbers into it, in 1839 to 1937, with 6 of the world's top 10 largest companies, all in the petroleum business, the oil business is among the most profitable on earth, rightfully so. You would be able to put that together. John D. Rockefeller, New York born, was building his first refineries in the 1860s. The oil boom hadn't happened yet, and really kerosene was the product that they were using because of the combustion engine hadn't exploded on the scene quite yet in the Industrial Revolution. So John D. Rockefeller was digging for oil, but for kerosene. And then the combustion engine exploded on the scene, and that was a product that the engine needed, not kerosene, but oil. In fact, oil was a waste product after they made kerosene. They just threw the oil on the ground and polluted the dirt. It was a waste product. It was good for nothing. I have an interesting family story about that too as well. But then it exploded, and Rockefeller was in the right place at the right time. Worldwide demand went through the roof, and Rockefeller controlled at his peak over 90% of all the oil in the U.S. Is that unbelievable? One man, 90% of all the oil. The United States government eventually dismantled that monopoly, but you know what he did? Rockefeller had retired and his wealth was secure. In his later years, he gave away most of what was the largest fortune in history. That's what they did in those days. The very wealthy and elite felt that at the end of their life, they shouldn't go to heaven with all the riches, so they gave it all away, and they did that. Well, Rockefeller did that too as well. But also what he did when the monopolies were broken up, and it was under Teddy Roosevelt's time that they went after the monopolies. And when they were broken up, what Rockefeller did is he just separated the companies into 25 different oil companies, put subordinates in charge of those oil companies, and still owned all the majority of stock in those oil companies. He just took himself out of the decision-making process. So essentially, they broke up Rockefeller Oil, which was, I believe, Standard Oil, and they created 25 different oil companies, of which Rockefeller owned all of them, but silently, and he actually became wealthier. Now, are you ready for his wealth? You work in inflation and everything? You ready? John D. Rockefeller, born 1839, died in 1937. John D. Rockefeller. I say him first is because one of the Rockefellers just passed away. The great-grandson of John D. Rockefeller, the youngest Rockefeller, just passed away at 101 years old just a couple of weeks ago. All right, $367 billion. Whoa, let me say that number again. John D. Rockefeller was worth $367 billion. When you make inflation and you create the numbers that we have today, that money would be worth, just his wealth, his personal wealth, $367 billion. Now, that's not to talk about the influence he had in the United States government, because the 5 major industrials after the Civil War that were created in the Industrial Revolution, they basically bought Congress and Senate. Anything new there? and they bought the White House. Anything new there? And they bought all the states, and they bought all the counties, and they bought all the cities where they were doing business, all the politicians. And, of course, there was no internet, telephone, TV. We didn't really know what they were doing. The papers, all the journalism was created by William Randolph Hearst, so whatever they wanted, William Randolph Hearst kind of made happen in his newspapers. And so there you go. We didn't really know what they were doing and creating. We didn't really know the rules and regulations. We didn't really know the influence and the corruption and the greed. We didn't really know any of that. In fact, we knew none of it. See, that's the advent of the technology today in this last election. Is that's the first time ever we've actually seen the corruption behind the doors, opened up to us a little bit as the curtain opened a little bit. It's the first time that we all knew that. I mean, it's logical and common sense. Power absolutely corrupts itself, absolutely, because that's what absolute power does. And when you have absolute power like they do in Washington, each one of these individuals, it corrupts itself. It always does. It's just part of the game, I suppose. People don't stay pure and innocent. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, the great movie with Jimmy Stewart, way back when in the day, 1950s. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work out like that. All right. So here's the key: John D. Rockefeller, $367 billion, and the influence that man peddled. Are you kidding me? Really? You get away with murder. Literally, get away with whatever you want. It didn't much matter. And that's the wealth and the power, absolute power that the elitists had. See, that's the thing. And that's what I want to talk about today, and I'm talking about that, and that's the absolute power. The absolute power, the megalomania power that these men had, and they still have today. And I'm going to make a point here at the end of the Jesse T Show about that. But I thought this was really interesting. Andrew Carnegie. Now, if anybody's ever read an inspirational book that Andrew Carnegie wrote, you got to read it. It's a great book, 1835 to 1919. Born into a poor family in Scotland, before immigrating to the U.S., Andrew Carnegie made his fortune in the burgeoning steel industry. And it was because of Vanderbilt that he really had the ability to create steel rails. Jeffrey Sowers is in line with us. Thanks all for chiming in. Also, Wendy Lynn Adams, terrific country singer and American singer. She was a friend of Elvis Presley back in the day. Thanks a lot, Wendy, for checking in. Haven't seen you around. Dantastics here. And Instagram Live is happening right here on the Jesse T Show, and Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero, on the air and everywhere. That's right, from 5 to 6 every day. We're here sharing each other's thoughts and talking about the cool things. Let them know what's happening out there. And please push the word down line and share it out to your friends and family, the Jesse T Show, because we do cover a lot of interesting topics, and we have interesting guests all the time, from the entertainment business to everything. We just bring them on in. Roll them on in. That's right. Come on down. And check out our show last night that we did at the Lamel Theater. It was a lot of fun at the red carpet. Appreciate and thanks Hatanaka for having us out there, and Joe Williamson. But Andrew Carnegie, although that fortune was large enough to make him the second richest person in the world, because Rockefeller was the first at $367 billion, the second richest person in history, what truly separates Carnegie from the pack and what defines his legacy to this day is his incredible philanthropy. Now, Andrew Carnegie created 22 foundations, and every one of those foundations are in existence today. When he sold out to J.P. Morgan, that's what he did. And that little letter is in the Smithsonian. When he sold out to J.P. Morgan everything in his 80s, he took all that money and he started giving it away, just like Rockefeller did. That was what these people did. It was part of what made them who they were. It was like, who can give away more and who could start more with my wealth and my money? The thinking was a little bit different there. Andrew Carnegie started the public school system and the public library. And to this day, these programs are funded in part by the interest in the accounts, the trust funds that he set up. There are 22 groups that Andrew Carnegie did. He basically gave all his money away. These people, they weren't real nice to their kids, but they were nice to everybody else. But they weren't real nice to their kids. Their kids didn't get a lot of stuff. Of course, they were taken care of through stipends and trust accounts and stuff like that, but they didn't get the hundreds of billions of dollars. No. They gave that money away and bought influence around the world. Saying hi to Mario Max. How you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you along with us on the Jesse T Show. People chiming in. So Andrew Carnegie was the second richest man in the world, born 1835 to 1919. All told, he gave away about 90% of his fortune, nearly $80 billion when adjusted for inflation, to various charitable causes. His famous 1889 article, The Gospel of Wealth, is widely credited with informing the wave of philanthropy among America's super wealthy and elite in the ensuing years. In that article, he wrote, "The man who dies thus rich dies in disgrace." Interesting, huh? Interesting, isn't it? Do you think they do that today? Do you think these people would do that today? Really? Different people, different men, different time. Do you think they would do that today? Think Bill Gates would give away 90% of his wealth? Really? What do you think? Interesting. Now, his wealth, $337 billion. Andrew Carnegie, worth $337 billion. Makes paupers out of the billionaires at the top of the Forbes 500 today. They just are little guys, right? They're paupers. That's what they are. Andrew Carnegie. The third most wealthy person the planet has ever had was born in 1459. And died in 1525. Now, nobody talks about this guy, and this guy's an interesting cat. His name is Jacob Fugger. Yeah, Jacob Fugger. Some say Fugger, right? I like to call him Fugger because, you don't want to mess with the Fockers. Because if you mess too much with the Fockers and you say Fockers too fast and too quick, you may end up saying right? But this guy, imagine the name goofing around they did on him in his day. 1459 to 1525, Fugger or Fugger. Jacob Fugger, easily the oldest entrant on the list of the Forbes list of the greatest fortunes. Jacob Fugger is relatively unique among the super wealthy of the pre-industrial age, revolution period, in that he earned his wealth not as a head of state, but as a businessman in the pre-industrial age. Now, what in the heck was this guy doing in 1505? What was he doing when Columbus was landing in America? What was this guy doing that made him this kind of money? When King George was being born, King George I, what was he doing? What was this guy all about? Interesting, huh? He made it as a businessman, had a fortune that was documented with reasonable accuracy, and can now actually be compared to those who came centuries after him. Can you imagine the wealth of this guy? He had more wealth than the kings. Born in present-day Germany into a family made wealthy in the textile trade. Yeah, making clothes, textiles, weaving. Fugger built upon his considerable inherited wealth with an international mining corporation that was nearly monoplastic in its dominance across Europe and Asia, meaning that he was the only game in town, brothers. He was the only game in town. So between 1459 and 1525, this cat's worth $227 billion. Really? Oh, my goodness. That's wealth beyond amorous. That's wealth beyond wealth that we could even ever imagine today. It's unbelievable the amount of money that these characters were worth. Now, do you think that the wealthy and the elite today acted the same way that they did in the past? Now, obviously, these people, they probably in many ways felt they were like God kings. Because we're talking about money beyond money, beyond money. When the peasants barely earned nothing, maybe 25 cents a year, right? Here's the number 4 guy, Cornelius Vanderbilt. 1794 to 1877, New York native Cornelius Vanderbilt made significant money in steamships before venturing into the industry that made him the 4th richest person in history, railroads. Ultimately, unlike most of the others on this list, Vanderbilt engaged in very little philanthropy. Man, this guy was a miser. And instead left 95% to one of his 13 children, William, and William's 4 children. So William, one of his 13 children, William Vanderbilt inherited $202 billion. Henry Ford, number 5, 1863 to 1947. Everybody knows Ford. How many out there are driving a Ford today? You know, the family still owns a big stock portion of that business. But how many people drive Fords, Ford Explorers? I know the CHP are driving Fords. And watch out, guys. The CHP are now changing from the Ford Explorer on the freeways to the Dodge Chargers because they found out the Ford Explorers are just too expensive to maintain. I mean, and one tire in the Ford Explorer costs more than 2 tires on the Dodge Charger. So you see, there you go. But they're moving into the Dodge Chargers. I almost got tagged by one this morning. But anyhow, Henry Ford, 1863, 1947. Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile. That was invented in Germany. But he did make it practical and affordable for the average consumer. There were a lot of car makers around America at the time. Lots of them, hundreds of them. But what Ford did is he created something that was called the assembly line. He created the industrial concept of the assembly line. But he did fold it into an economic model that informed mass production for much of the 20th century and helped make the United States the richest country on earth. Also, the assembly line, he gave all of his employees an incentive to buy a Ford car. He priced the car just at the level that his employees that he paid for could buy a car from him. Isn't that genius? It's genius. So he was worth $200 billion. Number 6. This is someone that you probably know about if you're into finance. Andrew Mellon, 1855 to 1937. Like his younger brother, Richard Mellon, number 10 on the list. How nice, how sweet it is. Andrew Mellon made his money in the family banking firm. He was a banker like J.P. Morgan, including its interests in oil, steel, coal, and more. A diversity of platforms. After solidifying his huge fortune, Mellon served as Secretary of the Treasury. See, guys, what's new? Pussycat. Whoa, 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 whoa. I love Tom Jones. Sir Tom Jones today. Knighted. The Welshman is knighted. Sir Tom Jones. I always loved him, man. Liked him a lot. Liked him better than Elvis. Anyway, so yeah, the rich inherit the government positions, guys. There is nothing new about Donald Trump and all the rich that are inheriting the positions. We're talking 1855, 1937. Now, come on. I'm teaching you some history here to let you know that what's going on today is nothing new. It's nothing new. It's retread material. It's just only new to you because you're living in the planet right now and everything you do is new. Otherwise, you'd be like 1,000 years old or like the Anunnaki, maybe 36,000 years old. But the point is, nothing is new. From 1921 to 1932, he was Secretary of the Treasury, during which time he was instrumental in negotiating the international debt resulting from World War I and in determining U.S. tax policy. Isn't that interesting? His buddy, who was very wealthy, J.P. Morgan, they created the United States Tax Act, and they created the Federal National Reserve, two of the most satanic organizations ever created by mankind. Thomas Jefferson wrote about that. He said, national banks lead to tyranny and cut off liberty. They do. So, with the onset of the Great Depression, however, the conservative Mellon was ousted from his post. Nevertheless, his copious philanthropic gifts, including Carnegie Mellon University, and still known across the country, was worth $189 billion. Jacob Astor, John Jacob Astor, who died on the Titanic, the Astor family. The German-born Astor worked in a musical instruments factory before coming to New York to work as a butcher. A butcher! So who said a butcher can't become a billionaire? One of the richest men the world has ever seen. He's at number 7. A butcher. Why not? If you're a butcher, you could become a billionaire. You got 2 B's working for you there, right? However, a chance meeting on the boat across the Atlantic launched him into the fur trade. The fur trade, 1763, 1848. Beavers, buffaloes, wolves, bears, elk, beavers. I like beavers. You ever seen a beaver gnaw at a tree and build a beaver pond? Fascinating stuff. By the early 1800s, with the fur trade on the decline, which made him an awful lot of money, Astor briefly got involved in the opium trade. Oh my gosh. He was a drug lord. A drug lord. John Jacob Astor was a drug lord. Oh my gosh. Does that harken to 2017? He was a drug lord. Opium. That's why Hong Kong was kept by the English for so long, to control the opium trade in China. Everything has a reason. And everything ties to today. I wonder how many of these elites dabble with the cartels. I mean, how can a guy become a billionaire and not know the elite of the planet? The CIA is the greatest drug entity in the world. John Jacob Astor was a drug runner. Widely expanding his already great fortune with a bevy of well-timed investments in Manhattan real estate. That's very good. From New York Public Library, which he founded, to the famed Waldorf Astoria Hotel, which is completely getting a renovation right now, named after him and for him, Astor's influence can be felt all over Manhattan to this day. Worth $168 billion. I think he makes Donald Trump look like a chump. We call it Chump Trump. Doesn't even come close to the wealth of these guys. And neither does Bill Gates. Can't even come close. But Bill Gates is here on the list at number 8. They say he's worth $144 billion with all his assets and holding the top spot on the annual Forbes list 17 out of the past 22 years. Bill Gates has long been the poster boy for inconceivable vast wealth, yet the Microsoft founder's peak fortune of $144 billion, which came back in 1999, is only enough to place him on the outer fringes of the top 10 richest people in history. He's not really worth that much anymore because he's separated himself, and he is doing a lot of philanthropic things, but he's a depopulationist on the planet Earth. He wants to depopulate the planet. That's right. He wants to kill you and me. It's too many human beings. He said that in so many news interviews. Just go online, you'll see it. Yeah, his father started Planned Parenthood. What? Abortions and birth control? Kind of depopulation, I think. Anyhow, number 9, Stephen Girard. Now, nobody knows who Stephen Girard is. Stephen Girard is sort of one of those names that kind of people don't know about. They don't realize who Stephen Girard is. They don't even know who Stephen Girard is. Born in 1750 and 1831, by the way, he had a bald head. So maybe the bald head look was way back then. So, nothing is new. Remember, everything comes round about away again. So he was a bald-headed guy. Maybe he shaved his head too, Got tired of a little bald patch and gray hairs, so he shaved them all off. Someone told me yesterday on Instagram Live that I got to darken my hair with some hair darkener stuff, and I got to get a haircut. Well, I agree with the haircut, but man, I like my salt and pepper hair. That's right, I do. I'm not darker than anything. French birth and later naturalized American, Stephen Girard made his fortune after founding his own bank in Philadelphia. That actor I talked about, Dan Tana, Girard was his last name, I believe. I might be wrong. In 1812, nearly 150 years later, that bank actually merged with Mellon Bank. And his timing couldn't have been better. His bank almost solely kept the United States afloat during the War of 1812. By the time he died in 1831, he was the richest person in the U.S., and the vast majority of that fortune went to, you said it, charity. $105 billion. Number 9. And bringing in number 10, Richard Mellon, 1858 to 1933, worth $103 billion. A Pittsburgh-based banker and industrialist, got his start in the Mellon Bank, his brother's bank, which was founded by his father and his older brother, and which he later led along with his brother Andrew. Stay tuned for more on him. He's got a lot to things that he did. But the bank's funds, Mellon bolstered his fortune with investments in coal, aluminum, and more. $103 billion. Now, I talked about this today because I wanted to tell you how you can get rich, how you can be a millionaire or a billionaire. And it's really, it's a point of really discipline. So I'm going to cover something here. So get your pencil and paper out, or get your notepad, or whatever you want to do, or save this, because you'll get this archived on facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. You'll also get it archived on thepowervoices.com, as well as YouTube Live, The Power of Voices. But this is how you become a millionaire. So let's start there. This is a self-made millionaire. 4 self-made millionaires recently wrote a book, and they talk about the number one strategy for building wealth. So if you want to have wealth like those characters I just talked about, here you go. Number 1, they say you must develop multiple streams of income. Each one of those guys that we talked about had multiple streams of income that are not tied into each other. So you have a business that's maybe taco restaurants, and another business that's janitor, and another business that's a bowling alley. So you have to have multiple streams of income. Very important. Self-made millionaires do that. You have to invest your money every single day. Every single day. There's a guy, his name is Grant, and what he did, he started with $2.26 in his bank account. Now he has $1 million. 31 years old, and what he did, he started with the goal of setting aside $50 a day. At first, some days it was only $5, but his goal was $50, and he really missed a day of setting aside money. Then he started trying to make as much money as he can, doing everything he could possibly do so he could invest and try to make that $50 a day investment, that savings. Then he stopped thinking long-term and started thinking short-term about how to put $50 in that threshold of money he was saving. His daily goal of $50 deposit soon became his daily minimum. He started setting aside $70, $80, $100 a day, then $500, then $1,000, $5,000, and then $20,000 a day, and he's a multimillionaire today at 31 years old. Interesting, huh? Simple stuff. Pay yourself first, man. You're doing something out there, you got your own business, you got to pay yourself first. Most self-made millionaires will tell you, you've got to pay yourself off the top. You got to pay yourself. Because if you don't pay yourself and you pay your bills first, you're not going to have any money to invest. And you're not going to have any money to invest in you, the one that's creating your business. So you got to pay yourself first and change your mindset about money. Getting rich begins with the way you think and what you believe about making money really is. The rich eventually figure out that training your mind to find solutions to difficult problems is the real secret to making money. The good news is this is possible for anyone who conditions their mind to think this way, and then transformations take place through thought and action. Interesting stuff, huh? That's how you make $1 million and become a millionaire. Well, how do you become a billionaire? So let's talk to a billionaire right now. This is a billionaire today, not one of them dead billionaires. But this is a billionaire today. How did he become a billionaire? His name is Eric Schmidt, executive chairman of Google's parent company, Alphabet. You didn't know Google was owned by a parent company, did you? Yeah, they are. It's called Alphabet. He's worth more than $11 billion. He's richer than Donald Trump. And this is what he did. He said he took full advantage of his 401k. If your company offers matching 401k, do it. You got to do it. And if you don't have a company that does that, you can create a 401k in a private way as well. Talk to an investment strategist. Don't try to beat the market, he says. While it may be tempting to buy or sell stocks based on daily movements, short-term trading isn't going to make you rich. Don't try to beat the market. Don't try to pick stocks. Instead, think long-term. Invest in index funds like Vanguard funds. We talked about that about 4 months ago. He says emphasizing different types of mutual funds tied to broad sectors of the stock market. Very good stuff. That's one of the strategies that billionaire Warren Buffett uses. Think twice about hiring a money manager. You don't need it, man. It's real simple stuff. Spend less, make more. Be frivolous, and don't waste. Simple stuff, huh? Not too ingenious. Pretty simple. The hard thing is for people to actually do it. Because that's the hard thing for anybody, is to actually do it. And as you get older, it's harder to do it. Everything gets harder when you get older, but not everything gets harder. Some things get softer. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm just going down a path of journey that words are taking me. But you know what I'm talking about. Oh, you nasty people, you. I love you guys. Yeah, you're right along with me. Hey, we're halfway through the week, the Jesse T Show, Monday through Friday, right here from 5 to 6. Yeah, that's right. We're on thepowervoices.com. Check it out. Download that free app. And also, we are on abentertainmentlive.com and Instagram Live, or Instagram Live, folks. Thanks a lot, guys, for checking in. Also, facebook.com/Jesse Torero and facebook.com/The Power Voices, Periscope live stream, and Snapchat. So now we talked about the billionaires of billionaires in the world, according to Forbes. There's actually another list. There's a Hindi king from India that goes back 1,000 years, maybe 1,500 years. This character, according to an economist who did research on this for several years, of the ancient people of antiquity and their wealth. This guy was wealthier than everybody collected on the planet together at one time. His numbers were, they say, almost $1 trillion in the wealth that this guy had. But we're talking about the modern day people and the names and in our modern lifestyle. So we covered them, and then we covered real quickly how you can become a millionaire. It's really that simple. Discipline and follow that path. Now, you can check that out on Jesse Torero, the Facebook page, facebook.com/Jesse Torero or /straight on the point. And of course, you are in the world according to Torero, and you're straight on the point. Now, here's the point I'm going to make. Nothing has changed in life. The planet is the same. The past is the present, and the present becomes the future. It is what it is, and nothing that is happening today hasn't happened before. It's all just retread all the way. Nothing is new, and nothing is as it seems. You must verify to trust. You want to trust? Verify first. It's real simple stuff. Always look behind the curtain. Who's pulling the strings? That's where the decisions are made. Everything else is an illusion to control you and me. And they're pretty good at it. The Jesse T Show right here from 5 to 6, every day, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow, getting closer to the weekend. And we got lots of good stuff in store for you. Talking entertainment and cool, fun stuff tomorrow as well. And you are in the world according to Torero, and you got it straight on the point. Today, more cocktail trivia. Have a good day. The Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya, bam, mwah, yo.